Good evening. Today is June 19th, 2013. This is the second meeting of the Revere City Council's Ways and Means Committee on the FY'14 budget. This evening we have the police chief, the fire chief, inspectional services, including the building department, health department, weights and measures, and engineering. So I will start off the meeting with the police chief. Chief, the way we've been managing the meeting, or the way that I've been managing the meetings, is kind of give you a couple minutes to introduce the budget, any changes, any big changes that you have, and then I'll open it up to committee members, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Councillor. Very good. Good evening, councillors. No major changes, although I did have some reallocation of some of my personnel, which directed towards some civilian appointments to replace sworn officers in critical positions, as well as hopefully an additional salary for a sworn officer to put on the street. I do have several grants pending that are not reflected on this budget. If I get them, it would be a boon to my staffing levels, clearly, but I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, so to speak, so we'll leave those on the table. When I do get them, I'll make you aware of them. Other than that, I'm available to any questions you may have.
Thanks, Chief. I will start with, let me introduce the folks who are here. We have from the committee, Councilors Giannino, Guanasso, Haz, and Councilor Powers. And we also have the Council President, Ira Novoselsky, Councillor John Correggio, and Councillor Charlie Patch. So I will open it up to committee members who have any questions. Councillor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, looking at this particular budget that's submitted before us, it doesn't look like there's too much, no wiggle room here. Basically speaking, your department is under a contractual agreement. There aren't many improvements that we can make to this particular budget. The only thing I can suggest is I spoke also in reference with the mayor. I like his anticipation of going forward and putting those 4 units, police officers together, and get them ready once, in fact, a appointment has been made for these individuals, and then we can send them to the academy without any delay. It's been my belief and my preference to have as many police officers on board as we possibly can. And I would vow to you and to the membership of this committee that I will do everything I can to help put additional people on the staff, because certainly I think public safety is number one, and I think we can do all the good things in our community by building all these new schools and having these great facilities for our children to go to. But if they aren't safe there and they aren't safe going home and to it, what point are we making? So I think public safety and police presence is a very big deal in our community, and I think it's a big deal anywhere we go. I know people feel a lot safer when they're traversing our community, when they see police personnel about. It gives you that presence that someone's watching over you, and that requires personnel. So looking at this budget, there's not one thing I could take away from it, and there's a lot of things I would like to add to it. I would like to see additional people power. I'd like to see as many people hired as possible. Certainly within the next couple of months, we're going to be faced with, the summer activity, and people have fun and games throughout the summer, as they should, but sometimes it gets out of hand, and we need this additional personnel to handle that. So keep up the good work. Get those grants that you applied for. You said 4? Oh, that'd be great. If we get 2, we'll be fine. It's whatever we can get is a big help. But if you think of anything through your capacity that we can do to help you, don't hesitate, because I'm sure this council is ready to help. And anytime there's money that we see earmarked elsewhere that could go in your direction, we'd be glad to do it.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
If I may address one of your concerns with respect to hiring, I have 7 officers and 7 cadets. Hopefully they'll be graduating first week of August. There is a break-in process, a field training process they need to go to, but they will be on the street almost immediately, so that will help alleviate some of my staffing concerns. With respect to trying to hire officers or have them prepared in advance, we're walking a fine line. We do invest a significant amount of time and money in the hiring process with background investigations, with their medical, their physicals, drug testing, and so forth and so on, to await a seat in an academy that we may or may not get. So it's a balancing act. I'm trying to keep a couple of people on deck, but it gets pricey. And if all those tests have a shelf life, if they aren't in an academy by a certain date, those tests expire. So we're trying to do that, but it's
I applaud you.
That
shows
maneuvering there.
That shows some foresight, and I appreciate that.
Thank you for your kind words,
Thank you,
Councilor.
Chief.
Thank you, Councillor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Paz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Chief, looking at your budget, as Arthur said, and I'm sure every council say 90% of it is probably contractual to the unions. How many sworn officers do you have at the present time?
We have 90 presently. 90,
and you have 70 that will be coming on? 7 that will be coming on?
That's including the 7 I have.
That's 7.
That's
okay.
correct, sir.
I know when I was there, we had 117. We took advantage of all the particular grants out there. And I'm
those were the
glad
days.
Those were the days, absolutely. Yeah. That was Clinton, by the way, President Clinton, and the governor of the Commonwealth. I think we have to go after these grants where available. A lot of people believe when you hire someone from a grant, it's for, say, 2 years or 3 years. They forget that once that time expires, that we have to take it on the city payroll.
Correct.
And that's a major cost, not only the cost of the salary, but all of the incremental items that go along with it. I'm happy with the police department, without question. Is there any ways that we could save some revenue as far as court time, overtime, etc.?
Well, with staffing levels rising, that will help eliminate some of the court. Like I said, some of those 7 salaries that I'm presently paying are in the academy, so they are not on the street. They don't count toward my minimum manning whatsoever. When they hit the street in August, I anticipate getting them to count for staffing levels. That should eliminate some of my overtime. Some of the overtime, as you know, is unanticipated. If we have some sort of a major event, it digs deep into the overtime. Conversely, if officers are proactive, then they're going to be spending time in court. So, you know, it's a fine line we're walking. Like I said, my staffing levels being what they are, and the grants, as you said, you know, at some point you need to pay, absorb those salaries. We can anticipate that there will be some movement through retirements. So by the time those grants start to terminate, the availability of salaries through retirements will be there. One of the grants in particular I've applied for is for 5 officers through a school resource officer program. That would put an officer in virtually every school if we get it. And now, bear in mind, it is very competitive, and it's nationwide through the Department of Justice. So if we got 1, I'd be happy. If we got all 5, I'd be ecstatic.
Exactly.
But we applied for as much as we could possibly get.
It's good that you're showing great leadership within the department, without question.
Thank you, sir.
Reports. I'm not too visible with you. I'm on the phone with you all the time, but I have a lot of contacts out there who know what's going on in the police department. As far as the condition of the vehicles, how is the condition of the vehicles?
The conditions of the vehicles are adequate for our operation. We've purchased several new vehicles recently. Our maintenance is commensurate with our needs. We are staying ahead of the curve. The vehicles do get worn down. There's no doubt about it. They do get ridden hard, you know, and that's what we get them for. But we're keeping above water.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Guanasso. Councillor Giannino.
Thank you. Just like the other councillor said, you know, you're really running a tight budget, but I must commend you. You've really done a fantastic job finding other resources outside of the city budget to find things for the department, and you've been incredibly resourceful in getting, you know, things for our city like the Hummers and all sorts of other things that keep us safe at no cost to the city. So I think that's fantastic. But thank you so much for working hard and for going through all this.
I can't take credit for it entirely. I mean, my grant writer's been, you know, monumental in helping to put this together, as well as Captain Gatto's been a great help with me putting a budget together. This isn't his first rodeo. He's been very, very helpful and supportive.
Thank you, Councillor Janino. Councillor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, at the outset, I also want to commend you for the excellent job you're doing, and I see a lot of activity out there now with regard to vehicles in the neighborhoods, and I think that's very important. I have one question on your budget, and then and there may be a simple answer to it. The detail officer, that's a person that's going out on the street now, from what I understand, the mayor said.
I've applied for that salary as a
Okay.
civilian staffed position.
Yep.
That's my intention, that I hope to in the future at some point civilianize that particular
Okay.
position. It'll be overseen by a sworn officer of rank, but the position, the staffing, the clerical work could be handled by a civilian.
Well, the way the mayor indicated last night that there'd be one civilian handling that, and the reason I asked that question is I'm looking at the B2 schedule, and there's a $4,000 stipend in here, and I'm wondering if that's something that would be going to the civilian or someone.
That hasn't been discussed yet, but that could probably fold into the cost of that particular salary. We can discuss that.
Okay, because, otherwise, if it wasn't going to be, I would just eliminate, I would propose eliminating it.
Correct.
It's only $4,000, but, $4,000 here and $4,000 there. And the other comment I have, there's been recent talk, and as a matter of fact, there was a meeting of the licensing board yesterday, whether or not the hours would be rolled back to 2 o'clock. You hear yes, you hear no, you hear all different kinds of stories. I have no idea, because that's not something that comes under our purview. We have no control over licensing in the city. But my feeling is that if in fact that does happen, I would like to know that the police department is prepared to put more traffic units out there at night to make sure we have better patrols on our city when people are leaving these establishments, going onto our streets. So I hope that you've given some thought to that. I'm sure you probably have, but it's just something that I feel I have to bring up, because if in fact that does become a reality, I'd like to know that the residents of this city have adequate protection out there on the streets. Thank you.
It is. We've worked on a contingency plan it would be robbing Peter to pay Paul, because I only have X amount of officers, but that will be a concern. We can anticipate additional calls between 1 and 2 a.m. And after, with respect to rolling the hours back, and we'll address it accordingly. We are working on a plan.
And the other one thing, again, going back to traffic enforcement, Sergeant Giannino does a great job out there. I talk to him almost on a daily basis over different issues. I feel that, because of the cities, the 6 or 7 cities and towns that circumvent us, around us, I feel that, with all the cars coming into the city, all the traffic, whether it's 107, 1A, Winthrop Avenue, Park Avenue, the Boulevard, wherever it is, Ocean Avenue, that I personally would like to see more units out there at night, going back to the days when Sergeant Brown was out there at night with his units making all the stops. I think that my feeling is that once you make those stops, if you get into those vehicles, you have an opportunity to get to the contraband, whether it be weapons, drugs, whatever it might be, and send a message to other people through them that Revere is not a good place to come to if you're a bad guy. And I feel that, and I've said this before, that perhaps, I know this is costly, I know our manpower is down, but perhaps if we could set up some type of a revolving fund just for that, to put officers out there on paid detail, to supplement our regular officers. get the money from the violations into that revolving fund eventually that would help pay for that. So that's something that I know I would like to see, and feel sure my colleagues would too.
We have purchased 2 more motorcycles to give us a total of 4 motorcycles plus 2 traffic units. I anticipate having all 4 motorcycles out on the street as often as possible, as well as the regular standard traffic cruisers. For the purpose of traffic enforcement, we do apply for traffic enforcement grants that do fund the overtime, and when that's exactly where they go, your priority times and priority locations, as a result of the traffic surveys that we conduct.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Powers. Councillor Ira Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, kudos are going to be flying all over tonight for you, because...
Keep this in mind for next year.
No question. There wouldn't be any question. And with some of these new titles, I am unaware, and I'm just looking for some clarification. The NIBRS technician, NIBRS, what is that?
What page you on, Councilor?
64, I believe. Yeah, 64. And it's one new position that we're looking at that you're putting in there.
Irene, right, yeah, right.
64 at the bottom of the page.
We've always had a NIBRS.
What is NIBRS? I don't know what.
Yeah, I'll be embarrassed to say I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's the FBI's database that we track. We forward our data, crime statistics to the FBI, and this is one of our civilian employees who funnels that information to them.
So we're putting on another person?
No, we've had that position.
That's the one that says yes on a new position.
Yeah, I think
28 hours.
She's a part-time employee. I think it's a typo. She's been here. That's a position we filled.
So that shouldn't be a yes. That should be a no for a new employee.
I believe that's so. Correct.
Okay. And the call center employees that are good when we set up the call center. This is supposed to be 6 personnel, and I noticed that there's a whole page that says 0 on here. Whose control are those under, the fire or police?
That will be its own.
A separate department?
Correct. That'll be a separate department. We've been meeting on that, and we've got some grant funding through the state 911. When we establish our regional dispatch center, that will be staffed and under its own budget. That's probably why it reflects the zeros now.
And that's with the new executive director? Or
correct.
director
Executive director and commensurate staffing.
Okay. And overall, how many civilians are taking officer positions to put those?
Right now, I anticipate 2 with possibly a third. And
the detail person and the
MIS director, which is actually coming under Mr. Anzoni's budget, I believe. He's going to fund it, that position for myself and for the fire department, an MIS director.
Okay. Is the crime analyst civilian, or is that?
That's a civilian, and that gentleman has been working. We've been funding that position through call taker salary. He started out his career with the police department as a call taker and showed an aptitude for crime analyst. He's got his degree in criminal justice and has been doing phenomenal work with us.
Cool. And lastly, during the year, we established I don't know if it's an ordinance or just a motion that we passed about noise meters.
Yes, sir.
And there was a question, when we requested that be put in the budget for all the cruisers, for the street unit, for the sector cars. Was that included in this year's budget?
It's not in this budget, no, sir.
Do we have any idea when if that's going to happen?
Given the cost and the delicate nature of the instrument itself, I'm going to be reluctant to put it in all the cruisers. They're pretty. So I anticipate when we do get them, probably in supervisor, if nothing else, at least in the traffic units. But I anticipate getting them out. I believe we do have a couple now.
I believe we do. Yeah,
yes,
we were
sir.
looking for at least just the sector cars, not even whether it be the Victor car or or the backup units, or 110, or whatever.
Probably the supervisor. They're in the traffic units now. I anticipate probably the supervisors at minimum. If I can get them out into more cars, if I can get the funding from them, we'll put them out as much as possible.
I know it was a concern of the entire council
Yes, sir.
several months ago, so, we were hoping that would be put in the budget, between you and the mayor.
Okay.
So, but, as long as there's something in there now and we are looking into it, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
But, again, thank you for all the support, the change in attitude that's been going on the force, and your staff. It's really been outstanding seeing foot patrols on all over the city, not just on Broadway, because I know Broadway was a big issue at the beginning.
Right.
But, seeing them on my district during the day, in my ward, the people have commented on it. They thank me, they thank you, they thank the mayor for it, because they really feel a lot more comfortable seeing.
On behalf of my men, thank you.
Excuse me?
On behalf of my men, thank you.
No, it's noticed, and I just want to let you know the good work that's being seen out there.
Let me correct myself. All my officers, men and women included.
There you go.
all my officers.
Well, thank you very much. I
Sir.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Chairman Arrigo. Chief, thank you very much for coming before us. I'm out there in the neighborhoods every day, talking to people in the neighborhoods, and I hear nothing but praise for your men and your department and what you do.
And women.
It's really tremendous. I see a lot of visibility. Cruisers are around, especially with the new color of the cruisers. It's very impressive. That's what people tell me.
Thank you.
The only two questions, will we be able to maintain the police presence for Broadway and the Shirley Avenue area, especially with the summer months and vacation starting? How are you with that? How will we be with that?
I anticipate maintaining my officer's presence on Broadway, working with other department heads. It should go unhindered until school opens up again.
Yeah, with the summer months coming, you'll have gangs. There'll be a lot of activity around with school being out. The other question is, I've been hit with a lot of people with drug activity. I see a lot of arrests in the paper for drug activity. How are we doing with that? Are we on top of it? Are we making progress? What's the future of that, of drug activity in neighborhoods?
We've been moving forward aggressively. My detectives, they're not reducing themselves to one specialty, because drugs, gangs, and other violence goes hand in hand. So fortunately, my officers are able to adapt to all contingencies. We're working in partnership with the DEA. We have an FBI task force for the gangs, as well as a DEA task force for drugs, working with other cities and towns. So my officers are doing a fantastic job. They're going to keep up the good work. I don't anticipate any change. In fact, I expect more out of them.
Chief, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Correggio. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I want to thank you for doing a fine job.
Thank you, Council.
Wherever you go, you hear nothing but praise for the police and the fire, and it's a good feeling, being an ex-police officer, that finally I think we're on the right track, and
Thank you.
Everything's going good. I'd just like to mention to Councilor Powers that that one stipends, of course, is contractual, and
Correct.
that would have to be, has nothing to do with you. That would have to be
It'll be
worked out
negotiated.
that would have to be worked out with the unions. And I just want to make one more suggestion. I made it with the past chief, and rightfully so. I'm not telling you what to do. It's you do whatever you're the chief. And Chief Rader was the chief, and he ran his department the way he saw fit. But I did make a suggestion to him at the time that there's been so much success at the fire department with the reserve list there, that when a grant comes through or something, that like when he got, I believe, the 10 officers through a grant, he could put them to work right away. They all background checks done, medicals, don't have to worry about it. And I suggested that the police would set up a similar setup like he has, because, you know, right away, a lot of people say, oh, we might have had a bad experience, because actually I got hired off a reserve list in the 70s, but it went to 60, the reserve list. And of course, a lot of them end up getting hired at an older age. I'm not trying to stress that. I'm stressing the kind of program that Chief Doherty has, that guys will be ready, that if you get grants or somehow we get some money because you are desperately in need of some more men, that you could put them to work quicker, a lot faster, if you had a reserve list. It's just a suggestion. It's something to look into. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't, you know.
I'll talk to Chief Doherty,
Yeah.
see how he works that one out.
It seemed to have worked well for him.
Right.
And other than that, as a former union official at the police department, there's not much you can do here. We can do as a council because everything's contractual.
Correct.
And but continue the good work. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Any other councilors interested in questions? No. Councilor Redden? No.
Thank you. I really have nothing to say. I think the budget is reasonable under the circumstances. As Councilor Patch has noted, there are contractual obligations that are responsible for most of the increase in any case. So,
Correct.
great.
Correct, Council.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Redden. Chief, thank you for your time. I have a couple of questions, but I'll start off giving you a little bit of praise and telling you the great job that you've been doing since you came onto the job, and you've been more than accessible and more than willing to work with all of us, and you've done a great job, and you know, I think we appreciate the good work that you've done. So,
thank you.
You know, it's been great to have you.
Thank you very much.
So I have a couple of questions. One that kind of got brought up yesterday, and it's part of a bigger question as far as revenue in the city. I was wondering if you had, or if you could provide a breakdown of revenue, like through violations or whatever different types of revenue you might have. If that's something that could be, you know, not necessarily tonight, but at some point. I know I've asked this of our finance director for each department. So as each department's coming up, I'm going to start asking them if they can could start to work to put that together. So that's one comment for everyone. As I look at page 63 is the first page, but if you go back a couple, it has the actuals for the last couple of years, and then an actual for this fiscal year to date, and the recommendation. I just want to make a couple of comments. So if we look at that page.
Is that page 63?
Yeah, so if you go back to, yeah, that page right there.
Sorry.
So other salaries, the second line, it looks like there was a spike in this fiscal year. I'm guessing kind of here that this may be related to the settlement with the former chief. Is that accurate? It looks like it jumped up, you know, a couple $100,000.
Holiday pay. The adjustment in the holiday pay.
Okay, so the holiday pay had went down, and that other salary went up. But okay. So that doesn't have anything to do with the chief's, the former chief settlement?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
No, that's not where the former chief settlement came out of.
All right.
It came out of the general salary account.
That came out of the general salary account? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So the next question, and these are small, and obviously the salary items, as everyone alluded to, we can't really touch. But there are a couple of the maintenance items that I just want to touch on. The radio system line item, it looks like we've only used $13,000 so far this fiscal year, and it's budgeted for $45,000. I didn't know if there were any anticipated items that we're going to be purchasing or anything like that.
Our present balance with the radio systems is 32.4 at this point.
Okay.
And there's been some changes. We've been working, and some of this is going to reflect in the regional dispatch, as well as through our urban area security initiative. I think we've gone to a narrow band,
Yep.
and that's constituted some
Okay. And then
reconfiguring.
the computer services line item, that actually, it looks like it jumped up about $50,000 from last budget. I didn't know if that was related to the new rec center, or if that.
Sure.
What that is in there for, because IMCS, which is the new CAD RMS system that's been installed in the police department, that's for their support, that they have to pay their yearly support.
Okay. And then, similar to the comment that Councilor Powers made about the detail officer stipend, there's a stipend for the MIS director. And I wonder if that is going to be, if that's going to go away with the addition of a MIS person in George's office. So are we still going to pay somebody an extra $4,000 to be the MIS director?
For the time being, yes, sir. That you
Okay.
will, because we're not going to. I don't anticipate filling that position or replacing anybody in the near future. So that we still do. I still do have somebody collecting that stipend at this point.
Okay. And then just to confirm, we have. It looks like we have. We have 3 civilians doing the FBI record keeping. One part-time and 2 full-time?
Yeah, that's the Records Bureau.
Okay.
Three employees in the Records Bureau.
Okay.
Right. One conducts payroll as well. It's part of her duties as well. They all maintain records. They all, facilitate the FBI data sharing, but they also have other duties that they perform.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chief. I don't think anyone else has any other questions. Appreciate the time, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Councilors, thank you.
I failed to recognize that we'll also be bringing up the Veterans Department, Office of Veterans Affairs. So Nick Bua is in the audience here. Next up, we will have the Fire Department. That is page 49. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you.
Again, I'll let you do your spiel for a couple minutes, and then I'll open it up to our committee members.
The biggest item is the mayor has saw fit to fund our grant cycle runs out with our SAFER grant for the 10 firefighters. It ends in October, and the mayor and the CFO have been able to fund those positions. We're in danger of losing a number of firefighters. We would have been able to swallow up 5 of the positions, but would have lost 5 more maybe as a layoff, and that was a big hurdle and a big relief to me and the department. I've requested some increases in some line items. These have been line items that over the last few years we've either been cut back or level funded, and we're at the point that with the different costs, increases in equipment and things such as that, utilities, price of fuel. I've had to request increases in those budgets. We are going to attempt to seek additional grants. The SAFER grant is one of them. It's a federal grant. That's where we got the 10 firefighters. We were denied a grant this past federal fiscal year for 6. It was exactly the same one we won for 10, so it's kind of difficult to swallow why that occurred. But we'll be putting in, a new cycle is coming out, we'll be putting in for that, as well as another grant that there aren't many fire grants to get, a Fire Act grant that's put out by FEMA for equipment, and we'll be applying for that as well. We've got some smaller grants and different things, and we're able to get some allocations out of the UASI, the Urban Area Security Initiative, that'll really help kind of citywide on a number of issues, our radio system and things such as that. So in this new fiscal allotment of money was levied out yesterday, so we'll begin some additional equipment. We've been able to maintain the apparatus. We've had some brownouts where if we have to hire more than so many personnel during any one time, we will selectively put a piece of fire apparatus out of service. We've been fortunate. We haven't had to do that in the last couple of months. We've been low on the amount of people that are on vacation, but obviously that's going to start picking up as of this week and through the summer, but then we'll be in a different fiscal year, so the overtime should be enough to sustain that for us. The other thing is additional training, and again, we're requesting some additional equipment based on some things that are coming up in the future relative to things as if the ethanol trains come in and things such as that. So,
Thanks, Chief. I will open it up to members of the committee if they have any questions. Councillor Guanasso.
Well, Chief, it seems like you've got a very realistic budget here, and obviously, again, you're under contractual agreement. Everything that you've submitted here has been agreed upon within the administration and the union, so there isn't very much wiggle room for us to negotiate. The only thing is that, in my perspective of your department, is what do we get for our money? And it seems like you get what you pay for, and we're paying for a very, very professional unit led by yourself, and certainly it's a credit to all of us to make sure that you have whatever the tools you need to keep our community safe. And more importantly, everybody's aware that we don't have that many fires, but we certainly have a lot of medical calls, and those are very important, such as fires, because what's the sense of saving a building if someone's killed? So if someone's injured in another capacity and your staff is ready and available to secure that their safety is okay, we're doing our job. And again, thank you for your professional approach to the department, and I'm sure the membership of your department appreciates what you do for them, because when each of us attend the memorial services, we see a great brotherhood of dedicated men and women that really appreciate what they do, the job that they have, and they appreciate serving our community. And that's a great reflection of all of us, including yourself.
Thank you, Council. On behalf of myself, and I'm sure the members, thank you for that. The fires are down. Our incidents are up overall. As you say, a lot of it is for the medical calls. But it is also due to good fire prevention. There's no question. The laws that have been implemented over the last few years with smoke detectors and sprinklers such as that are critical. I mean, going back years ago, we had kitchen fires and back stair fires and things like that, like on a regular basis every day. But with the implementation of the proper fire alarm systems, stops those little fires from getting larger, and it's critical. And it's critical that we get the personnel on scene quickly to stop a fire. Fire multiplies every minute, and it is critical. But thank you for that.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor Has.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, you run a great department, you know, and I believe in the training of the employees, which is paramount without question. When any of men and women go into a fire or are confronted with a situation, they are well trained. And I have to basically compliment the chief on that, mandating certain things to happen. The reserve list, as we've discussed many times, I think in the fire department has been absolutely tremendous. We've got some great people. Instead of losing them to civil service, we were able to protect them. Again, most of the budget in the fire department is contractual. We have little to say about it. I have a question, though, pertaining to the medical age. We had one in my neighborhood today, and what happens, the hook and ladder comes up the street. And that's a big apparatus. I don't want to get into the quint now, all right? We had a problem with that in the past.
Correct.
But again, is there anything we could do to alleviate the hook and ladder, which is the most expensive piece of our equipment, traveling the Revere roads, which are very narrow, okay, and send something else other than that?
Yes and no. What it is that we've divided the city up into these sections.
Quadrants, right.
And in the past, the ladder trucks didn't go out. And they were in the station. There could be a medical aid, for instance, on Broadway. There was at one time, if there was a medical aid, and I used the word the Dublin, that was the age, and the ladder truck would be in Central Station and would not go out to the call.
That's crazy.
They would wait for an engine to come from Freeman Street to come up. So over the past 12, 14 years, we've redid the response plan, and we do send them out. And it's good overall. One, because we get more pieces out there quicker, especially this city, we can, in 1 hour period, we can have 8 to 10 medical aids at once, and we're using everybody. It's constantly moving. But it gets everybody out. There's no, dust doesn't gather on the ladder truck. They're out and about. In the past, the police have had the same concern that the ladder truck comes out and it blocks up a street and things such as that. But we find it's better to utilize the personnel, even though that is, as you say, an extremely expensive piece of equipment. But it's better overall for the members to get out and on a regular basis get to these calls. It kind of hones their skills as well, and they're not just sitting there waiting.
And the reason I knew there was,
but it is. I even think of it all the time.
People have asked me many times, you know.
Yeah.
And we have addressed this in the past without question.
Right.
But it's good that the public, people watching TV tonight, understand your belief in it, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Matter of fact. Other than that, Mr.
People
Chairman,
are concerned. They say, well, why does that big fire truck come
Absolutely.
here? But they have to understand that fire truck is getting there with trained personnel, with medical equipment, and we can get to just about any place in the city in less than 4.5 minutes. And that's critical to their medical well-being that we get that personnel there, whether it's a ladder truck or an engine or whatever.
How do you feel about our ambulance service?
I've been very happy with Cataldo. They provide us, like I said, we sometimes have 8, 9 medical aids within an hour, and we're not waiting longer than 10, 12 minutes. Every once in a while, it's a long way for an ambulance, but they're able to put a lot of input into the city with the ambulances, and I think they're tremendous, and it's a lot less aggravation for us, but they're very good.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. You run a great department, and you have great personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Has. Councillor Janino.
Thank you. I think all the other councilors said it well, but you're working with a very lean budget, and you do a fantastic job, so I really commend you on that. And like I said to the police chief, I really appreciate all your hard work with the grants, because I know they're not easy to obtain, and it takes a lot of work to get funding for grants and to get all the paperwork in and things that you need to do, so I give you a lot of credit for that, and thank you for working for our city to get that. And hopefully we can see more people on within the next few years. That'd be amazing.
We've got one more opening than I didn't anticipate, so we're 5 short right now. But we're in the process of 4 candidates have gone through their medicals, and they're waiting to do their physical ability test, and we're going to put 1 additional on, I hope, if the mayor okays it. So we'll be able to put 5 people on by the end of July. And the 4 that we put on a few months ago will be going to the academy in October. We'll be able to train these people up enough that they can come on to work, and then they'll go to the academy later. And the good part about that is that they're both groups will be going to the academy in the off vacation periods, which saves us a lot, you know. Yeah, so we kind of worked it out that way. We fell into it, but it ended up working out very well for us.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, at the outset, I want to commend you for and your department for the professionalism that is out there every day in the week. I myself had a bad experience, and I realize fully the professionalism and the response of your department, and I want to publicly commend you for that this evening and your department. I only have one question. That I know that several years back we purchased new equipment, and I would imagine at this point here that we may be, some of that equipment may be coming due for replacement. And last night we were talking about what to do with free cash. What should it be used for? And my feeling that free cash should be used for a one-time expenditure, whether it be police cruisers, a ladder truck, a pump, or whatever the case may be. And if maybe you could tell us this evening, Chief, so that the full council is aware of the age and condition of the apparatus that's out there now.
Sure, thank you for that opening. We have, you know, we started that performance-based budgeting, and I was like, you got to be kidding me, you know. I'm too far along for this, you know. But anyways, it's worked out well. Miles has really kind of indoctrinated me. But the good part of it is, you know, list some accomplishments, list your objectives. And that, if you see in the objectives, we do need 2 additional pumpers. I would hope to replace the 2004s. They have a life expectancy about 10 years. We're starting to throw good money into bad for the amount of runs that they're making and work that they're do. I've had discussions with the CFO and the mayor relative to hopefully getting a bond. We got a bond for the 2004s. I believe that's either coming up or to be fully paid off as a 10-year bond, if I'm correct. Right. So with the conversations, I was hoping to get it maybe in July or August. The CFO has told me that he would rather wait a few more months, which is fine, because even if we go through the bid process, you know, the advertisements and the awarding, we really don't even have to make a payment if we were to get the bids done by October, November. A payment wouldn't have to be made in the bond until probably April on for the apparatus. So I'm hoping that'll all work out. With the mayor and the CFO, we've had that discussion, so we're hoping to get 2 engines.
So two pumps, what are we talking about, $1 million?
At least, maybe a little more. They're,
okay.
We're having a meeting tomorrow, myself, the Medfit chief, the Malden chief, Chelsea chief, and I think Somerville. We're meeting in Medfit, and we're trying to do a collective purchase to get a better price as well, not just the regular bid price. We're thinking if we can all go in, do an RFP, and say we're buying 7 pumps and a ladder truck, one of the manufacturers will be more generous in the pricing. It won't be a lot, but the engines that we currently have, if I were to get the same type as we bought in 2008, right now would be $1,100,000 and something just for 2. Yeah. Well, and we're hoping to replace a few cars. The cars 2007 or 2008, and they would move down to other jobs within the city, you know, within our department, and a 2004 will all be replaced, hopefully.
Well, I want you to know that I certainly will be supporting you 100% on any authorization that for monies that you would need, because I remember back several years ago our equipment was not doing that well, and I think it's a positive thing to keep up with your equipment and keep it up to par. And I thank you, Chief.
We have gotten the equipment. We got a grant at one point and bought the equipment in '04, and then '08 we bought additional. And you do, I mean, they're a large capital expenditure, but we have to do it every 10 or 12 years to maintain the equipment for the amount of use it does get.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Any other Councilor Ridden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out, and by the way, I reiterate what everybody's already said about the department. There are a lot of good friends on that department for a long, long time, and they do a fantastic job. But I'd just like to point out to anybody who is watching these hearings on television that I think people expect an explanation for why budgets go up or down, for that matter. And I think it's important that everybody realizes the largest portion of the increase in this budget is for the 10 firefighters that are no longer covered by the grant.
Absolutely. And
it's important that people understand this isn't for pencils and paper and things like that and stuff. This is for actual human beings that are going to protect them, and I think it's important that they understand that.
No question. No question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ridden. Any other councilors have? Councilor Creggio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, thank you for coming before us. I think you're doing an excellent job running the fire department. The equipment is trying to be maintained properly. I mean, it's a busy department now. I mean, life has changed, cultures have changed, the city's growing. I just have two questions. One is a lot of these alarms going off at these apartment buildings, they go off sometimes 2 or 3 times. Apparatus ties up apparatus, wear and tear. Is there any kind of a fine or anything in place for these apartment building owners in place that it's become really a nuisance? And so what is your comment on that?
Well, there's a good and bad about that. We do get a lot of alarms in these apartments. Most of them are food cooking, right. Unattended pot, things such as that. So it's kind of difficult. But we have a very strong fire prevention office that if we go to a building 2 or 3 times over the course of a night, there's a fire prevention inspector there the next day. Right. The deputy chief writes a referral right away. We go down there and we make the management or the owner correct that right away so that we do stop it. But there inevitably there is buildings that are more than others. And, but we do get on them. If you do start finding them, it's a difficult thing to do because who is determining, we're saying it's food on the stove or it's a malfunction of a head, smoked head, or a heat detector. And you have to allow some of those things. That's what occurs, I mean, in these systems. But if it's a real nuisance, we go after them very strenuously. And some of you know that inspector that shows up, and
Chief, my last question is, do you foresee eventually the Point of Pines Fire Station reopening? No, with the city growing, casino gambling could be in place. I think it's important because the traffic down there, to get down there, it's especially with people coming home from work and the summer. What is your feeling on that? Do you see something in the future of that reopening?
Well, I'll say this. I'm planning. We're trying to maintain that building. We're going to make some major repairs that are needed down there to try to keep up with it and get it ready. If a couple of these projects that they're talking about, the one over in Mills Ave, those garden apartments, 42 units, the other project at the old Ocean Lodge site, there's 140-something units there. If the Lasden property ever takes off, that's a big expanse there. There are some other projects, Mirage, the old Jacob's Ladder. We would have to open that, and hopefully those projects take place. Some of that real estate tax that goes for those buildings would be directed at us to open it. I'm hoping that with buying these 2 engines, there will be both spares with the hope that maybe one of them could be utilized down there in a year or 2. I mean, it's always the plan to open it. It's just, again, it comes down to money, and it's very difficult to get to that point that the city's that affluent. I mean, casino comes in, maybe all bets are off, and we'll be fine. But until we can get some other income in the city, whether it's real estate taxes for new developments or the casino, it's moot. But we plan on it all the time.
Chief, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Correggio. Council President Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, more kudos from this end of the podium. Just one question regarding positions, the new administrative assistant position.
Sure, it's not new.
Okay, well.
No, all right, let me explain it. Thank you. Yeah. Again, with discussions with the mayor and the CFO, at one time when I first come on as chief 13 years ago, we had 2.5 civilians in my office, 2 full-time, 1 part-time. And 1.5 of those people were eliminated, 1 in the budget, actually both in the budget, going back 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And then my only other person, administrative assistant, the mayor eliminated at one time in my budget, and I do most of the purchase orders and things like that on my own now. I do have one of our call takers that comes in the office and works with me, and I'd be lost without her now. She does all our payroll and pays our bills, and it's just tremendous. And the mayor has, you know, I kind of cried and said I'm the only department head in the city, I think, without any administrative assistance. So the mayor saw fit with the CFO, and we are going to fund that, and we'll advertise the position, and hopefully the person that's in there now will be able to get that position. And it rightfully so. You know.
So noted. You know, it just.
Yeah. No, thank you. But it's been tough for a few years.
Right.
You know, and Paula, Sasha, that does the work now, is just a tremendous asset to me now. And I'd hate to, you know, when we go to the regional center and how that's going to work out, we have to do something there, and this is the move.
And a person in your position needs someone like that.
Yes,
I know what you mean.
More than you think.
Well, no, I can relate, and you know, if there's anybody, or one of a few people in the city that are on the department heads that know their job, that I respect their opinion, and you know what they have to say about a situation, you tell it like it is, and I appreciate that. And I base a lot of my opinions on those things. And I think you've done a great job. I think you guys are great. They literally saved my life in 2008. Captain Ferrante's group when I had that incident down on Beach Street, and it is appreciated knowing what they do and how they react to things, and I appreciate it and thank you and thank them.
Thank you, and I'm sure the members are appreciative of your comments as well. Thank you. All of the comments we've gotten.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I want to personally thank you for taking care of that problem down on Marble Street with the Stop and Shop. I mean, we joke about the inspection service, Lieutenant Ferrante and, is it Lieutenant Manor? Is he a lieutenant or patrol?
Lieutenant Ferrante and Chief Inspector Manor.
Chief Inspector Manor.
Chief Inspector.
Yes.
I call him the Chief with no Indian, the Chief with no feathers. One time it was one of the developers said that.
One thing he does, though, is he gets the job done.
He certainly does. And, he certainly does.
You know, they Stop and Shop kind of fell back on their promise about. They had that fire on that fence there, and it took forever. But once you got involved, I want to thank you for getting that done. And I'm sure the people of Marble Street and that end of Washington Ave, thank you. Again, fine job on, being down at that ceremony down the Pines for your deceased members. I wish the police could get something involved like that also, but that just doesn't seem to happen. But it's good to see the young firefighters. But in how you've managed to keep the Revere people working in Revere. And unfortunately, the police, they take laterals. But that's why I wish they really would set up a system like you do. And, it doesn't take long. I don't know, how many are on the reserve list?
There are currently 17. We're going to hopefully put on 5. We'll be 16, and we'll be putting on 5, so there'll be 11 left. We're hoping we're going to do another on the newest civil service list. Just was certified a couple of months ago. It's the mayor's intentions to put on another 10 or so, maybe 12, and then we'll be going through them as well. We're going to have a number of other openings over the next year or so.
Right. It just makes it seems like it makes just so much sense, more sense to use every time an opening comes up at the police, they have to do a number of background checks and physicals and just do it over and over again.
The only thing different with us and the police for them is they have to wait for an opening in the academy. We're able to train our people to a certain point that we can actually and use them in dispatch and things like that, and then get them into the academy. That's the advantage we have. The law states the police officer has to be trained to
right.
go out in the street.
I understand.
We're allowed to do the first responder training, hazmat and ICS and all that. We can do that in-house with a couple of our people that are fire academy instructors. So it helps us greatly doing that.
Right.
And then we schedule them for the academy.
Right. But thanks again, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Chief Doherty, I want to thank you again for all the hard work that you do, and it's much appreciated. And I think everyone has made it very clear how important you and your team and your department is to the city. I do have a couple of questions. Actually, first I'll start off with a comment about Councilor Powers touched on it about equipment, and I'm glad that our CFO is in the audience, because this isn't just for you, obviously, but where your equipment is so expensive, preventative maintenance and being able to get ahead of any issues is obviously very important. I wonder, have you had the opportunity, or have you been able to put together a plan for a capital improvement plan or some type of plan, vehicle replacement plan that goes out over 5 or 10 or 15 years? Because I know as a schedule for when you figure a lifespan of some equipment is going to be a certain amount of years, and coming down the line we can kind of plan for what to have to pay for.
I just want to interject here. Part of the Steady Stat program is one of the requests we're making from the larger departments that use equipment is that we want the useful life of the equipment and then the expected procedure schedules. Expected purchase schedules of new equipment. So we're going to have a timeline on exactly where our capital plan is for expenditures for equipment will be, both for the DPW, the police, and the fire.
Okay,
so
great.
We're working on that now.
So, and that's for police, DPW, and fire?
And that's fire, that's correct.
Okay.
But that's part of our City Stat program, and that's one of the next steps, one of the next few steps.
Great. On a regular basis, going back some years, we would put in a capital.
When you needed it, right?
We would put in 300,000. If you funded 200 to 300 every year, after 3 or 4 years, you'd have enough to, on a regular basis, in a 5-year plan, be able to buy equipment like that. But that's generally the first place they cut on capital. I mean, it doesn't bode well.
It's easy.
Yeah, exactly. But with the CFO, we talk on a regular basis relative to bond issues, and I'm hoping that the pumps are replaced every 10 years, that at a minimum, and the ladder trucks can go a couple of years more, so we'll hopefully come back in again in a couple of years for another ladder truck, and we're in decent shape.
Great.
We have a good mechanic that maintains a lot of the equipment. We send a lot out because a lot of it has to be by a certified mechanic. We're in the process of getting our own firefighter mechanic certified in emergency vehicle operations. It's a little process to go through, but you have to do it nowadays for the liability.
Okay. And then I just had a question about wire inspectors. I know there's a new, and this is mostly because there's a new position being added in inspectional services, and I just was wondering how many wire inspectors do we have currently?
It's still a line item in my budget. I'm not sure how they're transferring the money, whether we're going to transfer it. That is for the current city wire inspector that recently retired from the fire department.
Yep.
That was his salary was paid out of our department. So how that's going to work, I'm not sure whether.
Okay. Because I know there's a stipend also along with there's a wire inspector stipend.
Well, that's it. It's that
Okay.
$15,000.
Yep.
It's under our B2 schedule.
Yep.
And it was for 2 initially when we first, when an existing wire inspector, electrical inspector left, Mayor Ambrosino got 2 master electricians in the fire department, funded it through there. They each received $7,500. One of them left. The one that stayed is now our retired deputy that is full over at, well, part-time over. Part-time is over the...
The wire inspector has been moved over to the, he was the present wire inspector. He has been moved over, electrical inspector actually, has been moved over to the inspection services department for, I believe the amount was $26,000.
Okay. And then I know you have 7 call takers, I believe, in this budget. They're going to be moving over to the regional call center. I know it's not going to happen necessarily quickly, or it may be through, halfway or 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. But will there be any savings from them moving over to the regional call center, since we're going to be most likely splitting some costs with Winthrop and getting, some state money to help that?
My opinion is no. That's my opinion.
That it won't happen?
I've always said from day one, for us to do a regional dispatch and to make it a professional and a separate department, that the city would have to expend some more money. We are getting a lot more grant money and things that are moving our way on that, and it'll be based on a formula that incidence and population that Winthrop is coming into us. The people that are currently working for the fire department will all be allowed to train, and provided they meet the criteria for all the courses that are required, can be hired for the new agency. And there's legislation in the state now. We were going to make it first just a department, but we can make it an independent agency. The employees will technically be working for City of Revere and paid out of Revere, but they will be in a separate agency that's kind of a quasi thing. So their salaries will actually, some of them will go up because they'll be combined as there'll be a dispatcher. We'll be allowed to take the 4 firefighters that we have as dispatchers and put those on fire apparatus. That will give us additional personnel in the street, as the police department will do with a couple of their personnel.
Yep.
So that's where we're getting uniformed, sworn personnel back into the streets, so to say.
Yep. Okay. And then I know you have 102 firefighters right now. Right?
Count myself, we're up to 102.
102. And everyone's EMT certified, right?
No, I think there's probably a half dozen that don't have it right now, but they're all in the process.
Okay.
It's kind of a no-brainer for that.
Yeah.
It isn't required. At one time, it was required that they had to be an EMT.
Yeah.
But we fund it fully, because in the event everybody does go for it,
they get it, yeah.
Instead of coming
as they
back
should,
with money.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. And when you get the chance, if you see Chief Kelleher from Somerville, tell him I said hi.
I believe I'm seeing him tomorrow. Like I said, we're trying to do this collective purchase for fire apparatus, and Kevin's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, I just have one more question, Chief.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, sir. Chief, that piece of apparatus down at the Alder Mills Fire Station down the Pines, we talked about that, it was going to be scrapped or...
Yeah, it's interesting. We put them out for bid twice, and we didn't get anything.
Really?
Actually, somebody bid on that for $187, and I said, just on principle, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we'll cut it up ourselves and sell it for scrap before we do that. Nobody wanted to bid on them. I don't know. I mean, we have a ladder truck that went out on the bid,
That's the old ladder?
The old ladder, and that one too, and nobody even bid on it. I mean, the steel that's in that alone is a phenomenal amount of money. Well, phenomenal. I mean, a lot of money there. I even said to the guys, let's get a torch and cut it up.
Yeah.
But we're going to do something. The Mac that's down there is going to go one way or the other before the summer starts. And we have some cars out back and things like that. We're just going to end up junking them, I guess. It's a shame, but we should get something out of it, I thought.
Maybe we get Inspector Manor for a new car or something, you know.
Well, I'm hoping we get 3 cars. He has a pretty good one. We need to replace one of the other ones, too.
He certainly makes the stops.
Yeah, he does.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council Powers, and thank you again, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right. Next up, we got Inspectional Services. Good evening. Good evening.
It's on here.
Our department, we put in for a couple of changes, adding personnel, a principal clerk. Also, we had a transfer. We're trying to put in for a transfer within our department from one weights and measures to the health department. And we also added 4 hours to the weights and measures director, who will be sort of by himself, and if needed, will use the other person who we transferred on his busy days and the heavier schedules. So that's it in a nutshell. We're, we can explain those changes as we go along.
Great. Thanks, Nick. Councillor Guanasso.
Inspectional Services, Nick Catanazzo. Anytime I have the opportunity, and it's more often than not, unfortunately, I call Inspectional Services, and either Nick or his staff, I get unbelievable response. I get it if it's not the same day, it's the very next day. And when I get a call from a constituent, it's very important to me that I give the city services as quick as possible. And not always we can solve the problem, but at least we can address some of the issues with the problem. And unfortunately, you've been saddled with the problems of, you've got a limited staff in terms of going out and doing inspections, and the calls for loud music, the calls for illegal apartments, the calls for people acting up within the household and having 85 people when there should only be 4. These are good neighborhood issues. These are issues that people have a very, very serious concern about, and they have to be identified. And every single time I have had an opportunity to call you, I get results. And so we're still working on a couple of issues. They're still outstanding on Cushman Ave, namely. But we will address all of those. We'll get them rectified for the neighborhood so they can. Everybody, I firmly believe that everybody should have the quality of life within their home. They don't have to hear the neighbor's next door TV or his stereo, or they shouldn't be disturbed by a continuous party ongoing on that prop. You people are just there to help, and it's gratifying to see such dedication of individuals that you have within your staff, and namely you, Nick. You set the example for your staff. And
thank you.
And it sounds like we're given all kinds of accolades, but we've had 2 department heads in front of you that are doing an excellent job, and now there's a 3rd up in line doing an excellent job. And this praise is deserving. We have an opportunity to review your budget. We've all had the budget now to look it over and chop it up, but you've got such limited resources within your capacity. There isn't much we can cut out. If we could do anything, right, in my opinion, I would give you help. But I know the mayor is pretty much handcuffed in this particular proposal because there isn't that much extra money available for that. But right, anytime you need us, please don't hesitate, because we don't hesitate to call you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thanks.
Well, a lot of departments need apparatus and equipment. We need bodies.
Yeah.
We need bodies out in the street, and that's why one of the transfers I made was so important, is because we didn't have enough. As we all know, outside sanitation in the city, there isn't a week that go by that one of you councilors calls me with a problem in your neighborhood or whatever. We just don't have. We didn't have enough bodies out in the street. So I think this transfer has been so important, and we're right now in the process of training this person. Hopefully it will be approved. It's a person that's worked in the city for 26 years. In my opinion, has been grossly underpaid. And to bring him up to an inspector has been to me, as a reward to this particular individual, not only as a person who does a great job, but we need them out there. We need somebody out there. So instead of going out and hiring a person off of the street, paying a full salary, this person already works for us. It might seem like a lot of money in the budget, but it's really not, because the money that these inspectors are bringing in, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, we wrote almost $13,000 in tickets. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. And they'll make up that salary. Granted, it goes into the general fund.
It'd be self-sufficient.
But it's self-sufficient. You know, we need bodies. You know, we're not looking for equipment, cars, and stuff like that. We need bodies out in the street to keep the city safe, not only in the building department, electrical, plumbing, the weights and measures. All these guys are, they leave the office at 9 o'clock in the morning. They're out there doing their job. And, and that's my job to make sure that they do their job. And I think we have a really good, we put together a really good department. Not everything is perfect, but, we have a fairly large department within the city. We also have the nurses in the school department. There's always issues, but, that's what we do. This is our business, and this is what we do. And, I'm proud. I love my job. I come to work every day. I'm happy. Eventually I'm going to retire like everyone else.
No, you're not. You're going to keep going.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate your comments, though.
Anytime. I think you really, really deserve it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can only echo Councilor Guanasso's comments and honestly say that any time that I've ever, and that's many times, gone to your office with particular issues about health violations, code violations within the area I represent, you've been more than attentive, and you've worked quickly and effectively to abate those violations as they existed. So I want to compliment you on that. I have one question for you, and again, I agree with you having that extra inspector out there. In fact, I'd like to see a couple more if I had my way, because I'm a person that worked for the city years ago as a sanitary inspector with Felix DeSisto, and we had certain areas back then that were constantly in violation, and those areas now seem to be in just about every part of the city. You will find a violation of some sort, and the only way we're going to have a city that we can all be proud of and happy to live in is to make sure that those violations are abated. The one question I have for you, I believe we set up a revolving account for your department at one point. How is that working out? Is there enough money in that account to satisfy the needs of the department?
Actually, we have two revolving accounts that were set up. One of the revolving accounts, basically we take that money out of the vacant building fund. The mayor gives me approximately, I believe it's $15,000. These are for cleanups of properties that...
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, that one there. Okay, yes. Those are for cleanups and properties. And as you know, Councilor, we've done cleanups in your area and a lot of the other areas in the city. And how we work that basically is we'll write 3 violations on a property at a high rate, $250 a hit, and because we don't want to become keepers of people's property, and so that's why we write the 3 violations. We just don't want to go in and clean up somebody's property. Then people expect us to do that. So the fines are a detriment to those people. They'll have to pay those eventually because it will go to a lien on their property, as we discussed. So then we go in and we'll clean up the property, and then we lien that property to get the money back. We eventually get the money back. We've got a lot of that money back. So all that money that we get back goes back into that revolving account to do more cleanups. So actually, it's working very well. However, we can't clean up everybody's property in the city, as you know, and there's a lot of bad properties out there, believe me. There are. I wish we could do a lot more, but I got to sort of pick and choose and how you councilors come to me and complain about these particular properties. I know there's a lot of blights out there, but you know, I've driven through other cities like Everett and places like that. I think we're in pretty good shape compared to a lot of other cities. I think our city's doing well, especially down in the Shirley Ave area where we had a huge problem down there, and we sent an inspector in there daily, every day, writing violations against absentee landlords. And I think Ira Novoselsky's worked with us really well, Councillor Novoselsky, and we've cleaned up that area. Unbelievable. There was a time that we removed almost 300 cars in 1 year, abandoned cars, unregistered vehicles on properties that were blights in areas. So I think this is, you know, we try to work with all the councilors, you know, and get back to them as fast as we can, because we know, I mean, you're elected officials, you know, you need these things done. So that's a priority to us. So that's, you know, that's what we try to stress in the department.
Well, that was my point in asking you about the monies in the revolving account to make sure that you have enough resources to deal with these properties. You know, no one wants to live in a house and maintain their property and have somebody next door with the trash out front all the time, or they're just completely overgrown. And I think I talked to you the other day about a couple of those. And
yes.
I know, I feel very confident that you'll resolve those situations. Certainly, hopefully before July 4th weekend, when people have guests over to their homes and no one wants to invite someone to their home and have the house next door look a mess. It's embarrassing.
I assure you we will take care of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Councilor Has.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo the comments of all the previous speakers. I know whenever I've called, especially in the Fenley Street area, Tony gets very involved. Some of my neighbors know now who's calling. But again, you know, if I take care of my property, I want everyone else to take care of their property. What I like about the department is they work as a unit, and that's very important.
Yes.
You know, you have your meetings and tell the people what you expect, and they do it. If they don't do it, you come down on them, but you have to.
Exactly.
All right? I'm very impressed with the department. I think it's one of probably the best inspectional services that we've had.
Thank you.
I tried it in the past with some of my people, and it worked out, but it didn't work out as effectively as it is now. Now we've got a tremendous amount of homes that are boarded up. By the way, how many abandoned homes are in Revere, do you know?
I don't have the list with me, but there is quite a few. There is quite a few. We track those every year, and naturally it's a fee. The first year is a $500 fee for the first time we find it. Then the next year we keep that list, go out and look at those again to see if they're still abandoned. Now those will go up to 1,000. Then any new ones we have, I track and I keep them on a list for this year. It's a real big process. It's a big process. Right. You know, just getting all those. But all these things are all new things that we're generating money into the city. You know, Mayor Ambasino, who was in, I brought this to him. I saw this in the Wall Street Journal that this town in New Jersey was doing this, and I brought him the article. And being an attorney, he brought it in front of the council. Right. We made an ordinance out of it. We were one of the first cities in Massachusetts to do that. Since then, we've gotten numerous calls from how we run the ordinance. They wanted copies of I've sent them out to this day. We get requests. So we got a model program, you know. How
is the bank working with the city?
The banks, well, the banks, it's really difficult a lot of the times to find as, you know, who's the owner of these properties. It's really a hard thing. It's a struggle. believe me, yeah, it is. But when the banks do find out, a lot of the times the banks don't even know the property's vacant.
Exactly.
You know, the walkaways, people walk away, you know, right from the house. We've seen some, but then there's a lot of properties that are vacant that the properties are taken care of. They have property managers through the bank that they take care of the properties. When we send them out the fee, they pay right away, so there's no problem. So I think it's like a 50-50 type of a thing. You know, it's bad. The worst thing we hate to do is board up a house.
Absolutely.
Because it looks like a blight in a neighborhood. It has to be done because a lot of the times kids are breaking in, they're doing drugs, and, you know, we get a call from the police, so we order a board up on the property, and it just doesn't look good, you know. I'd rather put in, you know, Anderson windows, you know, but it doesn't work that way, sorry.
Well, under your leadership, you know, you guys do a great job.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Has. Councilor Janino.
Thank you. I agree with all the other councilor sentiments. You're doing a fantastic job in the department. And, you know, we talked a little about public safety tonight, and I think a lot of people don't understand how important inspectional services is to public safety, because you can't have firefighters and police officers going into homes and areas that aren't safe. So
right.
Thank you so much for all of your hard work. And again, you're working with a very tight budget, so I really commend you on all the work that you've done to
Thank
put
you
that
so
together.
much.
So thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to add something that, just quickly, that a lot of the times we bring up ordinances here and we give them to various departments, not looking into the other side, how much it costs, to run that ordinance. Meaning, I'll give you an example. A sticker program where you buy the stickers in our office. A roll of those stickers is $500. $500. So if we have an underlying materials part in our budget, say for $4,000 in our department, if we buy 2 rolls of the stickers, that's $1,000. And we go through tons of those stickers. People are always coming in buying them. That's $1,000. So now we got $3,000 left in our budget for the year to, cover copy machines for. So I think when we make ordinances, we gotta. Even myself, we got to look into saying, now, what's going to be the cost factor here? What do we have to get for material? What do we need? And I think a lot of the times we don't do that, and the department head ends up like struggling at the end with like about $100 left in his budget on the last month with nothing. They can't spend any money. So just a note, that's all.
Thank you, Nick. Any other councilors? Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, for the people of Ward 6, I want to thank you for always your quick response, and you and your crew.
Except for the other day, right?
Yeah, but that actually got taken care of.
Yeah.
But it really is. The cooperation is so important because. People don't realize it's like a life and death situation for these people that call. It's really whether it's a rodent problem or a grass neighbor not keeping up with his grass, or a vacant, like you say, a vacant house, or people are just living there in a foreclosure that ain't taking care of the house. The neighbors just it ruins their lives. It's just it becomes a big issue to them. Right. And you understand that, and your inspectors understand it, and your secretaries are great.
Right.
You got unbelievable secretaries.
Well, I live here, and I feel the same way. I want the city to look clean. I'm proud of the city. I've lived here all my life. And it means a lot to me to do a good job and make sure all our workers do a good job. And our present mayor, Mayor Rizzo, has been great to me. As far as he's been looking forward to the same thing. He's been, he wants to make the city look clean, as you can tell by Broadway, starting with the new light. It's really important to him. So I've went to him with a lot of things, and I'll tell you, he's been more, just like prior Mayor Ambasino. We've been very fortunate to have 2 really great mayors so far.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Thanks again.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, again, I know more kudos.
Thank you.
And you mentioned about Shirley Ave area, and I can't tell you how good Shirley Ave is right now. People understand what they have to do. You get a few people out of line, but, your department is on top of them. And I don't have a problem with that. If it's going to help my neighborhood and have people have a better quality of life down there, it makes a difference.
Well, you're like one of our inspectors, by the way.
Yeah. Between yourself, your department, and the Public Works with the flowers on the poles, and now we have the American flags on some of the poles.
Yeah, looks good down there.
Broadway. I'll tell you, I'm getting more positive comments about Shirley Ave, and now we're working on the Gateway project down by the T station and fixing over the business frontages, and everything is just working out very well right now. In the last 5 or 6 years, they've gotten better. And we still have the rodent problem, which we're going to have probably forever. I don't think that will ever be,
we address them one by one.
Exactly. And I appreciate that. And all your folks that work in that department, including Noreen and the
Valerie,
Valerie, thank you. And, and even your part-timers that have come down there, your seniors are terrific.
Yeah, they are. We've been very fortunate. We got a good group of people.
You have a very difficult location because sometimes, it's like the clerk's office. You get a lot of nasty people coming in.
Yeah.
And they handle it very well.
We get beat up sometimes,
Yes, you do.
You get beat up.
I've been there when it happened.
Yeah.
But, this budget doesn't come close to what you really need.
Yeah.
But, again, we have to look out for the, overall
Totally understood.
Controls.
Yeah.
But, we do the best we can, and we agree with what we see here.
Yeah.
So I thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the citizens of Shirley Ave and the whole Ward 2 area, not just Shirley Ave. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Novoselsky. Councillor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief. Nick, I can't say enough. The city looks tremendously a lot cleaner, neater, going through the neighborhoods. I'm through the neighborhoods every day, talking to people, and the city has come a long way. I just have one question. Some people have mentioned to me, people that do construction work on weekends, whether it's building a porch, building something.
Sure.
Is there inspectors out on weekends checking that out?
Not at present time, no.
Okay.
No. We don't have inspectors out on the weekend, no. A lot of jobs, that I've seen, driving around the city because I'm around here, basically are Saturday jobs, quick roof jobs, stuff like that. You catch a bunch of them, It's not as much as you think. Believe me, it's not as much as you think. Even during the week when we have inspectors on, we catch them. They have these gypsy roofers come in and they'll, strip a roof and try to, we catch them. We make them pay double fees, plus we find the homeowner, so that's how we handle that basically. So.
Well, Nick, thank you very much. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Correggio. Councillor Ridden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief. Nick, I do want to congratulate you guys on being very responsive to me as a city councilor who is responsible to my constituents. Always met with a good response and a quick response. And I think most importantly, you're happy to hear when we report violations and things like that. You want to get out and check them out. And so your enthusiasm is appreciated. And I also want to say that I am really happy to hear that you're happy. So.
I am.
Thank you again, Nick.
Thank you, Councillor Ridden. Nick, thank you for being here. Thank you for the revenue.
Yeah, I wanted to give you a copy of that. We've been tracking that for about 7-8 years now. It's good to know where our weaknesses are and our strengths, why this is happening, so I can ask the questions to our various department heads and saying, why is this down, why is this up?
Yeah.
I know the economy's been down in the last few years, but as you can see by the list here, it's sort of self-explanatory. It breaks down each category in health, each category in the building department, how many permits were issued. So it's pretty informative, and I thought you should have a copy of that so you could look and see exactly what we do and how we do it, and we do track things and and that's my job to keep track of all that stuff, so.
No, I thank you, and I think it might be a little bit sad for me to say, but this makes me really happy to see, and
Yeah, well, I heard you
I get
say it
excited
before,
but being
but
able to look at it.
And I always bring up a copy and.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
One quick question, if I may, through
Councillor Novoselsky.
you to Nick. Nick, do you have a revolving account for any of your funds that come into your department?
Yeah, we have two revolving accounts. We have one, like I said, that comes out of the vacant building account, and the other one was the new dumpster permitting, which we've almost brought in, I believe, almost $10,000. And we're using that money for mitigation on rodent control. That doesn't mean we're going to go out there and bait everybody's house.
Right.
If we have a problem within the city, like you called me onto the steps off of North Shore Road and the Costa Park, we had a rodent problem down there. We called the exterminator. We had them come in and bait those areas, and also to do a follow-up right to the end of the summer. So, this money's good. It's going to help the city so we can, track all those things. So that's working out really well.
Just a thought on the stickers. Should that money coming in for the stickers maybe stay within your department to help pay for those that you have to buy?
Well, something it would be nice because we can't afford to buy the stick. We couldn't afford to buy the new roll of stickers because we didn't have $500 in our account at the time. So yeah, that would really definitely help us.
Maybe I know it's a supply item, but it's a income producing thing, and you pick up more than $1,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that thing. So I would ask that you talk to the mayor and the finance director, see if you can work something out to help you in the budget with that.
Yeah.
With that item.
Well, the problem is that, as we all know, being department heads, that your operational costs go up everywhere. You can't have the same amount for materials you did 10 years ago as you have now. And if you have new programs,
for $500,
yes, understood. But thank you.
It puts a crunch on your budget.
Okay.
I have one more comment, just a quick question. I submitted a motion, and the Attorney General's office has a distressed properties identification grant. I didn't know if we've had any movement on that, or I know there's like $1 million available of new money that I know they have a similar program that
we work with the AG's office. We work with Martha. We've brought back 3 or 4 properties already. We're working on one on Washington Ave now with the AG's office. It's probably not the same program you're talking about, but this is another program through her office that we are working on.
Yeah, this is just a straight grant that we could get. We could get a couple $100,000 to potentially help.
I think you sent me that email, and I sent it to our grants person, Kate Blackford. To have her look into it. Yeah. So I haven't heard back from her.
Okay, I didn't know if you had anything.
Yeah, no, I sent that up to her because she takes care of a lot of our grants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick, continue to do a great job. Thank you. Appreciate
it. Thank you very much. Councilors, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Last but not least, we have the Veterans Department. Yes, last one. Veterans Affairs, page 128. Nick.
Good evening.
Thanks for sticking around. Feel free to inform us on any issues of your budget, and then I'll open it up to committee members.
Well, my budget this year, I spoke with Laurie, and my budget, she cut down on my budget $300,000. But this year has been kind of a quiet year as far as benefits concerned, but I believe it'll increase next year. Just this week, I had 2 burials, which was $4,000, $2,000 each. So I mean, it's going to increase, but in the future, usually in March or so, if my budget gets low, I approach the mayor and approach Laurie, and they usually come up with the funds necessary to take care of our veterans. So
Thank you, Nick. I'm going to open it up to committee members. Councillor Has.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, with the dramatic reduction from last year, and what you just said, that it seems like it's starting to pick up again, debts, et cetera. Do you think you can live with the reduction that you received?
Well, I think I can live with it, yes. I don't think there'll be any problem. I think the calculation, maybe last fiscal year, I overestimated a little bit. I was informed that it should have been a 12% increase last fiscal year, but I think it was a little too much, and that was the reason why there was so much funds left over. So,
because right now we're basically helping every department. In your department, without question, has been the greatest reduction in the budget, right? And I'm worrying about if it swings the other way and all of a sudden the veterans more or less pass away because they're getting older, okay? I mean, that's going to strap us. But if you believe that the mayor and Laurie can find you additional revenue after the first quarter of next year.
I feel very confident that they can. And
okay. I just want to make sure.
I spoke with Laurie at length, and she was very confident that there wouldn't be any problem with additional funding in the future.
Thank you. And for the record, Nick does a great job. He's involved with so many Revere issues, okay? You know, it's amazing that you have that much time. And the citizens appreciate your effort to make our community a much better community to live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Has. Councillor Guanasso.
Like Councillor Hass just said, Nick, you're everywhere. You're always doing something positive for our community, and you send out a good message to our citizens that, you do a good job. And certainly, I spoke with the mayor briefly about this cut, and I don't think there's any problem at all if, in fact, you're in need and he sees a need for this to be replaced. There'll be some sort of assistance on the way, so you're not going to be short-handed by any means. I think that the mayor understands the importance of the Veteran Administration. And he knows that, Veteran Affairs is a big, important part of our community, and we want to be respectful to everybody. So I'm sure the mayor's on board with this. And saying that you do a good job for our city is an understatement. You go to the memorials, you go everywhere, and you dedicate. And the service just given this past Memorial Day in front of the Legion building. First class. Everything is great. Everything is just good and respectful to our veterans, which is the most important part of your job. And you having that in mind, you just portray it. You couldn't be a perfect person for a perfect job, and you're it.
I enjoy it.
Good job.
Thank
Congratulations.
You.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Guanasso. Councillor Giannino.
Thank you. I think Councillor Guanasso took the words right out of my mouth. You really do a fantastic job for our community, and I think this is one of the easiest budgets for us to look over because it's the smallest budget, but you have one of the biggest tasks in our city to make sure that all of these affairs are taken care of properly, and I think you really do a tremendous job. And the memorials that you hold and the ceremonies are really, really amazing, and other cities and towns around us could look up to them because they really are a big part of our community and they make us feel like a community, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Giannino. Councillor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what can you say about Nick Brewer? I know we've had great veterans people come in that department in the past, but Nick is really going above and beyond. He's done a combination of everybody from before. A lot of things were never done before, just because they were all alone. But was already mentioned Memorial Day, outstanding job. The flag retirement ceremony that you do, the parade committee that you're on, being involved in the Rumney Marsh Cemetery and putting down the flags for departed veterans, even though they're from the Revolutionary War, just remembering them and putting flags down for them on Memorial Day. flags in the cemeteries, Woodlawn, Mount Hope, Holy Cross. You must put down 1,000 flags, if not more, you know, besides what all the veteran other groups put out. The bocce tournament that you run, you're so active. And, you know, and I honestly don't believe that what you get on your salary is really enough. You know, I believe your duties deserve more.
Tell the mayor.
We have told him that. Unfortunately, he and a few other people don't agree with us. But you do your job above and beyond the job. And I forgot to mention about the wall that heals that was just in Revere. You put so much time into that. You know, you're lucky you have Donna working for you. You know, and I'm glad I understand what went on in the budget, what it shows in those numbers, that one was only a half year and one was now it's a full year.
Right.
So she is an outstanding employee down there. And I know you still have volunteers down there. They still come in and volunteer. But you need that help. And I understand, and I'm glad that Mayor Ambrosino saw that before he left to put a part-timer in there at that moment. And now she has really paid her dues and is meeting up to her expectations.
She's a great asset to the office.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be able to do it. We have a food distribution. As a matter of fact, we'll be doing it next week for the veterans and the spouses of veterans. And her and her husband, Donna and her husband, they do a tremendous job giving the food out, and they carry it all in and they deliver it to the folks at the Sata House or people who are shut-ins. They'll deliver it to their house. I mean, she's like, I tell her she's the boss, and you know, I get all the acclimates, and she does all the work. But she really is a great employee, a tremendous asset to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Any Councilor Patch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ira hit everything. All your accomplishments in the city. You just you know, you just mean so much to all of us. So if you really do get low in money, I'm sure my colleagues and myself will support you 100% and get you what you need. And as Ira brought up, the Vietnam Memorial Wall that you brought down the Beachmont, it meant a lot to me and a lot of Vietnam veterans. And but it was also very important that they saw fit to give you a special award for all your work to get that accomplished, getting that wall there. So I wanted the people out there to know that that you did you got a nice award, and you well earned it. And again, whatever you need, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Ridd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think there's any city or town in our surrounding area that does as much for or honors our veterans as much as the city of Revere does. And that's typically when that happens in a particular department, it's a reflection of the head guy. You're the head guy, and I think it's a credit to you that I regard us, if not, and I'm sure others do, as being very deferential to our well-deserving veterans. As to your budget, I'd just like to point out that although you did take a cut from your appropriation for 2013, significant cut, that it's still about 10% above what you were appropriated in 2011, 2012. So again, I don't think there's any doubt that if there is a shortfall this year for unanticipated expenses, that you can anticipate that certainly you'll have the backing of the City Council to the extent that we need to transfer funds, but I know that the administration is equally behind the endeavor of keeping our veterans as respected as we possibly can. But thanks for doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ridd. Nick, I don't have any specific questions about your budget. I do see the cut in the veterans benefits. I think that you may be coming back looking for some more money at some point. because unfortunately, I think across the Commonwealth, a lot of other cities and towns have seen veterans benefits increase throughout the last couple of years. So, it is a little bit of an increase over what your actuals have been, but I still think that there may be some room for you to probably have to come back here or come back and look for some extra money. But with that, it's a lean budget, and there's not a lot to speak to, but continue to do the great job that you've done. The Veterans Day memorial services were fantastic. Everything that you've done for the city has really been great, and it's a testament to the good work that you do and the long hours that you put in. So I appreciate it. I think we all appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, I don't want to be redundant. You bring quality services for our veterans. Our veterans are important that we do not forget them. The work you've done, especially with the wall, it's been such a moving thing. I mean, people came from all over for that wall to be able to see the name on there, name of loved ones. And also down in Woodlawn Cemetery. I mean, people forget, year after year, working with the Chelsea Soldiers Home and having those services down there at the Woodlawn Cemetery, that we don't forget our veterans. You bring a lot to the city of Revere's veterans, and I'm really proud that you're there, and I will support and do whatever is necessary to help the veterans in your department. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Correggio. With that, we will conclude tonight's meeting of the Ways and Means Subcommittee, and we will be back tomorrow night. Thank you.